So today I'm going to talk about Enneagram Type 4, and in particular how the Enneagram Type 4 moves from their position on the Enneagram of 4 to the positions of 2 and 1, which is via the internal lines of connection. So you can see the internal lines of connection connect the 4 to the 2 and the 1, and so this is just about the behaviors and the characteristics of the 2 and the 1 that the 4 displays, takes on some of the time. So the idling place the 4 is at, in a crude summary, is like they're generally walking around thinking about how special and unique they are, and thinking other people don't realize how special and unique they are. It's kind of their normal state, state of mind, state of emotion, state of instinct. So that's their idling position, thinking how unique they are and other people don't realize it. So they will move and act like the 2 in all sorts of ways. But this video is, I'm going to give an example of someone who acted like a 2 and a 1, who was a 4. A 4 that acted like a 2 and a 1. And I'm going to look at the specific ways that they were acting like a 2 and a 1. And these are common ways. And so a common idling place, the status quo sort of position that a 2 is in, is often sucking up. I heard someone speaking about on an Enneagram panel in Brisbane, and he was saying, he was a Type 2, and he was saying, people often say, someone said to me at work that I always suck up to the bosses and whatnot at work. And he was saying how this is true of him, and it's a decent summary of Type 2 just in itself. Type 2s suck up. It's quite a crude way to put it, but it's quite accurate, and it's quite short and common for Type 2s to behave like that. So that's the Type 2 behavior that's common. And a Type 1 behavior that's very common is that they are often criticizing people or others and telling others what they should be doing. And in a way, that behavior of the Type 1, the criticizing, telling people what they should be doing, or not necessarily always telling people, but judging people on what they should be doing. So they might tell person A what person B should be doing. So they're not actually necessarily telling the individual, you should be doing this. They might just be saying he should be doing this. Or they might actually be telling individuals what they should be doing as well. Yeah. So it's pretty hot here. December in Brisbane. It's December in Brisbane. I'm going to have to wipe the sweat off quite a fair bit. Now, basically in this story, I was at work and this Type 4 was talking about, is that a plane? Oh, sorry, there's a plane going over. I'm just gonna have to wait till the plane passes. Okay, the plane's gone. So yeah, so I was at work and there was this 4, and he was talking about someone that used to work there as well. And this guy got a job within our same industry for another company. And I said to this guy, this 4, I said to the 4, Oh, well, so he stayed within the industry. That's pretty good. Or maybe I didn't even say wow. Maybe it was just as bland as, oh, he stayed within the industry, hey? Oh, that's good. It wasn't a big statement at all, like in any sort of direction of being positive. It was simply stating the facts. And then this 4 turns to me with this like real sort of aggression and this hatred. He's like, he's very skilled, you know. He does the same job as blah blah. And yeah, something along those lines. Saying that basically this guy's very skilled, so he can get this job, another job within this industry. I think he said, yeah, he knows a lot. He's got a lot of knowledge. So it was something like that. It was like, he's got a lot of knowledge, you know. He does the same job as blah blah. Blah blah being someone in our company who has that position. Right, so this guy that we were both talking about formerly worked for our company, left, got the job at another company. And this guy, the 4 gets paranoid a lot. And in this case, it was just kind of a reaction to me making a statement of any kind. A statement which implied that I would know something. And it actually didn't imply that I would know anything. I was just trying to make conversation. But this guy, this 4, angrily felt that I was you could easily just say I was not recognizing this other guy's skills or this other guy's ability, so I wasn't recognizing it. And there might be elements of that, but really this 4 is quite paranoid a lot of the time. And the ridiculousness of the amount of emotion he put into that and his response, it was more about just he was in a bad place. He was there in a negative place and he wanted to snap at something. Maybe not consciously, but he was in that place where he was ready to go off. And I happened to be having a conversation with him, and it was very easy for him to just assume that I don't realize something, because that is a place that the 4 often sees themselves as having, obtaining. They see themselves, so I've got my notes here. I might just have a quick look at my notes. Yeah, they see themselves in this place of being the appreciator, the connoisseur, the appraiser, the critic, the evaluator, a judge, a reviewer, a realizer. They see themselves as being in that place. And I've spoken about this in previous videos, how this ability to be kind of the evaluator and the realizer and the critic and the appraiser, it's this person that has the ability to see value and say what's valuable rather than say that they are valuable themselves. And so it gives them this place of power, so that they're the one that says, oh, this is good, this is bad, but they don't have to actually have any ability behind that power themselves. It's just the ability to realize what's good and bad, who's good and bad. And so they often move into that place, and that's a very 4 place that they're moving into as part of what I was saying as like the idling space. You know, what one of these sort of emotional places they're in, and intellectual places they're in, or impulse places that they're in naturally. Anyway, so being in that place and feeling paranoia or resentment, some kind of negative emotion made this guy want to, well, impulsively made him snap out at me. And the two, being that type that often says, well, sucks up to others, says good things about others, that was a movement to the two, in that the four was saying how good this person was, this other person. Saying it to me. So, in a sense, the four were sucking up to this other person, but not really, in a sense, in that the other person would never hear that. But they were saying something good about this other person. And so this is actually the opposite of what this guy normally does. Normally he says terrible things about people. But personalities often balance themselves with the opposite emotions. And so I can actually demonstrate that, because it's sort of a law of physics how the opposite often balances one extreme point. The opposite point balances an extreme point. I can do a little demonstration of that physically to show you. Okay, so this is a circle. It doesn't matter what shape it is as long as it's symmetrical. So both sides are the same. It's a half. One side is a half of the other half. Symmetrical. And so if it's balancing, right, like, this is pretty basic physics, but I just want you to understand what I mean. Okay, so now it's balancing because opposite sides have something the same size on them. So it's in balance. If I was to move this to a non-opposite point, let me just hold it in the middle so it doesn't fall over. If I was to put this here, it becomes unbalanced. So if I have this here, I have to have this here to balance it. I can't have this here, I can't have it here, I can't have this any other point except the opposite. So the opposites balance. And that's the law of physics. And this happens to be a circle. I didn't choose a circle because of the Enneagram. This is like a square shaped plate. It's the same principle. Opposites balance. So just need something bigger. If I put this here, it's imbalanced. It's going to tip. But if I put this here at the same time, it's balanced. If I move this around, you can see it's tipping that way. It's the same thing. So this has nothing to do with squares or circles. It's just symmetrical objects, and the principle that the opposite point balances the one extreme. So if a personality goes to one extreme, to whatever way that might be, it might be towards fear, it might be towards anger, it might be towards jealousy, it could be towards any emotion. The opposite emotion is going to be a common emotion that personality exhibits as well, because it's going to try and balance its extreme favoritism of a particular emotion with the opposite emotion. And in the end, it won't actually be balanced, a personality, but it will have a counterbalance. So it'll be reacting in extreme ways. It's like a car, right? The car that is not balanced. And so the car sways from left to right. So rather than driving smoothly down the center of its lane, like as if it was balanced, because it's not balanced and it doesn't want to crash into something to the left or to the right, it has to counterbalance from left to right, from left to right, to try to stay on the road, because it's not balanced. So its extreme state keeps it wanting to go in one direction, left or right, but in order to counterbalance that, the car goes to the opposite direction. Sometimes it has to pull strongly to the opposite direction to counter the pull in its favoured direction. Yeah. And personalities do that. So often personalities that are overbalanced in a particular direction will counterbalance in the opposite direction. So yeah, moving towards opposites is a common way that all personality types balance themselves. And you could think about it, for example, if the 4 is often talking about how unique they are and how special they are, well, to make themselves feel like they're not super arrogant for thinking that they're so unique and special, they might idolize or say something good about another person occasionally to balance that. Sort of like how if they were a musician or something, and they were saying how deep and spiritual and significant and unique their music was, or something like that, they would often, they would try and balance it sometimes by saying something along the lines of, well, I don't think I'm John Lennon. I don't think I've created a whole genre that the world loves like John Lennon did. John Lennon being this super acclaimed musician. So those are kind of statements where the 4 is balancing its own common behaviour of talking about itself with the opposite behaviour of saying how great someone else is. And so you can see a relationship there with the 2, just in that talking about something else, giving praise to something else. And there is, in my example of this person at work who criticized me for stating this guy is working within the same industry, there is a relationship there with the 1, in that he's criticizing me. That's very 1. So in this 1 behavior, he's acting like the 2 and the 1. He's criticizing me, and he's saying, I don't realize, I don't know something, which I should know, or he's just saying I don't know it. I don't see why anyone, I didn't know the previous employee, so there's no reason why I should know that he has these special skills, but there was no reason, I wasn't suggesting he did or didn't, it wasn't even part of the conversation, but he's criticizing the person in front of him, this 4, by saying, you don't realize that he has special skills, and that's why he got this job within the industry. You don't realize that he knows a lot, and that's why he got this job in the industry. So it's a criticism of me. And in so it's a 1, and it's some sort of a correction of me as well, which is very 1-like, trying to correct, which has that sort of moral self-righteousness behind it. This idea that he needs to correct me because I don't realize that this guy has this special knowledge, knows this stuff, and that's why he got the job in the industry. And so in that, he's acting like a 1, and in how he's praising the other guy, he's acting like a 2. And in that, he's just looking to vent his own feeling that other people don't realize stuff. He's acting like a 4. Yeah. So hopefully this shows a practical connection between ways that the type 4 behaves like a 1 and how they behave like a type 2. And all of this comes from an understanding that the lines of integration are not positive or negative. They're simply lines of, not integration, lines of connection. Lines that can connect the 4 to the 2 and the 1. They're neither positive or negative. But they can be both. They can both be positive, they can both be negative. Yeah, I've done previous videos on that, so I won't go into any of that. Anyway, I think that's about it. Sorry if it's been a bit long. It's December 2025. It's pretty hot. I hope you guys have a good Christmas.